Created live on Fireside.
Welcome to Athletic Definition. I'm your host, Coach Ray Z. Today, we're going to be talking about workout music, how it stimulates your brain. It hits different neural pathways to evoke emotion and help you work out and keep you going, distracts you from pain. And so, we'll be covering that as well as workout music BPMs, which stands for beats per minute, David Goggins in music, the science behind a good workout, sacred rhythms, plus a lot more. So recently in Men's Health, they came out with The Rock's favorite workout song. And I'm a huge fan of The Rock. I'm a little surprised on the song that was his favorite song. He's been known to have an eclectic taste in music. Last year, he teamed up with Spotify and they came up with the Iron Paradise workout. And on there, it's just a pretty wide range of different types of music. It's still available on Spotify. I think it's about an hour and 34 minutes long. And so it's all his music that he liked, picked specifically for the Spotify playlist. But surprisingly, his favorite workout song is It's Raining Men. And it recently came out when they were asking he's done so many movies with Kevin Hart. So they were talking like, what's his favorite song? And right away, without hesitation, he answered, It's Raining Men. And they asked The Rock, and according to him, it's true. So if you are interested in reading the article, I will be providing it on the show notes. That way you can check it out. And also, if you want to check out that playlist, it is available on Spotify. It's called The Iron Paradise, and it came out last year. And as I mentioned, his taste, I would say, it's kind of like mine. I listen to a variety of music, so it's kind of a little bit of everything. The only thing I probably don't really listen to too much is country music. It's just not my thing. Although there's one song from country that I do listen to, and now I'm blanking on it, but it's Johnny Cash. And I wanted to talk about David Goggins. So I've talked about David Goggins and working out many times. He does not believe that you should work out with music at all. He considers it cheating. He believes that you need to be able to self motivate yourself. He gets offered to go speak to different colleges and businesses. And he was speaking to the University of Alabama and he was saying they all need that music to get pumped up, to get pumped up. But what happens when there is no music? Which is true. And I learned that through running. Through running, a lot of people love to listen to music. I've done a show about that as well. And for me, I was running and training with music. And then it came to marathon time and I forgot my headphones. I had no choice. I wasn't going to go all the way back home, and I couldn't go all the way back home to get my headphones to listen to music. So I ran a marathon without music. And from there, I'm like, it's good to be able to mix it up. You got to be able to self motivate yourself. And then there's going to be days where you're not going to be able to self motivate yourself. So you can even turn on music before you go to work out to start getting you in that mood to, get yourself pumping. As huge of a fan as I am as David Goggins, we're not all David Goggins. So some of us got to use music. Music goes back far, which I'll talk a little bit later. It goes all the way to shamans and how we use it, movement and rhythm, and how it helps stimulate us. And it's fascinating how all over the world we always use rhythm and dance. So to me, I love music. I used to DJ as kind of the pandemic retired me from DJing, but I would do like backyard parties and weddings and things of that nature. So I've always listened to music, and I completely agree with Goggins. You got to be able to motivate yourself, but at the same time, sometimes have the music motivate you. And he said he did listen to music one time, and it's one of my favorite songs as well. It's called "Going the Distance." It's on the Rocky One soundtrack, and if you've ever seen Rocky, it's where he's fighting Apollo on the last round, and Apollo and Rocky are both spent. They have nothing left, and Apollo Creed knocks down Rocky Balboa for what he thinks will be the last time. And Rocky Balboa gets up, and Apollo has this look on his face like, I can't believe this guy's getting up. So the name of that song is called Going This Distance. It is 2 minutes and 13 seconds long. But David Goggins, when he broke the pull up record because he attempted it more than once and he kept failing. So he used music for this one time. He did over 67,000 pull ups. And while he broke that record, it took him 17 hours. So he listened to that song for 2 minutes and 13 seconds. He listened for to going the distance for which is 2 minutes and 30 seconds for 17 hours. That is a long time. I have listened to that song myself personally or of a marathon. So I probably have listened to it for a couple hours, that song over and over on repeat. But 17 hours, you guys let me know if there's any song that you like that much that you would listen to for that long or could listen to or listen to all the time. Rocky, I could probably listen to that soundtrack all the time. Other thing that's interesting is that he used it because he didn't want to keep doing more than 67,000 pull-ups. That record has been broken. I can't remember who broke it, but someone broke it after Goggins. So he no longer holds that record. At the time he set the record, according to the US National Library of Medicine, it says once your heart reaches anaerobic zone, that music no longer has any sort of effect, which is good because you can over push yourself, but at the same time, I depending on the type of workout or competition you're doing, I think it still could have some benefits, but it's not going to have any benefits as far as where you can distract yourself from fatigue or tired or how long you've actually been training because you can lose yourself within the music, especially if I love mixes. So I'll go to YouTube and I'll do the Red Bull DJ competitions, and you can go back years and it's a great variety from DJs all over the world, and they mix up all kinds of music. And it's to me, it's when I'm working out and I'm playing like something that's kind of nonstop, it's easier for me to have a longer workout than if I'm listening to, say, the radio where there's commercials. That constant rhythm and flow to me is really helpful. And as I mentioned, I do believe being able to work out with music and without. To me, it's all about balance. We all can't be David Goggins. So these tempos here are recommended, and I'll post it on the show notes. But depending on the type of workout, I've mentioned this before, they're called beats per minute. So if you DJ, you're trying to match the beat per minute from one record to the other when you're switching, even though people don't use records anymore. But that's what you're trying to do. So certain songs can either help you relax prior to a competition, nerves for a lot of athletes, anxiety caused by competition. You know, for a lot of people, say the week before a marathon, they're already kind of stressful. Or I've done jujitsu competitions. I've done 57 marathons. I've done basketball tournaments and Nike 3-on-3 tournaments. They all have different types of nerves that or butterflies as they're called, that they'll depending on how much you've competed growing up, if you're used to it or not, how much confidence you have. There's so many different scenarios that go into it. So a lot of people kind of get really stressed out. So the beats per minute could help you stay on pace, or it can help you maybe go too fast where you need to slow down as well. So for yoga, Pilates, and lower intensity activities, they recommend 60 to 90 beats per minute. And now with technology, it's great because even if you don't have like the program I use for DJing is called Virtual DJ. Even if you don't have a program like that, you can go to Spotify or YouTube and just type in the beats per minute and it'll come up. Also, there's a bunch of playlists like that, specially designed for that. And then for power yoga, they recommend 100 to 140 beats per minute. For CrossFit, indoor cycling, and other forms of HIIT, they recommend 140 to 180 plus beats per minute. For Zumba and dance, 130 to 170 beats per minute. For stated cardio, such as jogging, they recommend 120 to 140 beats per minute. Weightlifting, powerlifting, they recommend 130 to 150 beats per minute. For a warm up exercise, they recommend 100 to 140 beats per minute. Cooling down, and after you're done with your workout, 60 to 90 beats per minute. And as I mentioned, you can find it pretty much anywhere now for free, or yeah, and then there's apps now too, which I still got it. There's so many apps, but There's apps now and that are also free and that they'll actually speed up and go down based on your tempo, or you can program it so it'll help you speed up when you want to need to speed up, especially if you have like an Apple Watch or any other Fitbit. Uh, with apps now, they're pretty much free. You can specifically set it where, say, you want your watch to alert you when you're running under 8 miles per minute, or when you're going too fast, like over, oh, I'm sorry, or too slow. It'll beep differently. And then with the music, you can really customize it so that you can have a very customized workout with beats per minute. And then, I love basically what people would call, well, what would they call this? And it's slipping my mind right now, but, uh, I like UFOs and all this crazy nonsense that people say. You're like, before recently during the pandemic, when the government came out and said, oh, yeah, there's UFOs. If you said UFOs, people would think you're crazy. And now they came out. I guess I'm not crazy, but I watched Ancient Aliens, and they were talking about sacred rhythms and dancing and chants, and basically that's what the shamans would do to be able to get into certain states. And there's plenty of articles that you can find, and I'll post all the videos that I found on YouTube and the articles of just how music can affect the brain. And going back to the shamans and their dances and the rhythm, this is pre-internet. How they all have the same commonality, that rhythm can get you into a certain state, and music, like the drums that they would use, uh, they can all help you just enhance so many like mind benefits. When you're dancing, when you're breathing, you have to keep that rhythm. And I found another article as well where an expert was telling all their students when they're doing their cycling that you can actually, with your music, put you in a mood, but put you into the mood where you're basically inner, what she call it, she said you're like inner channeling your 17-year-old legs so that you can keep riding that bike a little bit longer. And so a number of studies show that music can impact your mood, emotions, energy levels, breathing, heart rate, but they're even saying that it can help you feel younger. And I agree, there's so much different technology now, which, if going back to the ancient aliens, where in the University of California, they're studying music to the point where they're using Oculus Rift, which is owned by Facebook or Oculus, and they're putting that on top of people's head, and they're looking at beats visually and auditory, and they're syncing it up and learning about how drum beats affect the brain and for peak performance. And these are neuroscientists testing it. And this is in the University of California. So I find it all fascinating, the connection between music, working out, and me personally, as I said, being a DJ, going, volunteering my time for the runners at marathons and just playing music for them. And then when I would rest, my friend in a band would play for them, and just seeing how people get happy in their mood. And then just me myself personally working out, going to different workouts, and learning the differences in the beats per minute, how it can actually make you either go faster or slower. I love watching football during the NFL. Last year, they interviewed the quarterback from the Buffalo Bills. I can't remember his name. I think his name's Josh Allen. They're like, "Oh, what kind of music do you like to listen to?" And he's talking about, "I like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin," and he named some of the songs. I'm like, "Oh, I listen to that as well when I'm just trying to stay calm." And that's the same type of music he was listening to stay calm before the game. So from pros to weekend warriors to fitness enthusiasts, music can definitely help you. And even the one time David Goggins used music, he used it for 17 hours to break the pull-up record. Besides that, uh, I think that you need to be able to do both, self motivate yourself. And on those days that you're really struggling, use the music. But if you're always using music, it could become a crutch. And then you're not going to have that extra little lift when you want it. So for myself personally, like when I'm doing a marathon, and it depends because some marathons have a lot of people cheering you on the whole time, and some it's crickets. There's like nobody out there. And if there's no one out there, then I just try and run and really just enjoy the moments for the first 13 miles. When I start hurting, that's when I put on the music. It's like my distraction from the pain. And that way I can try and finish strong for the second half of the race, or try to keep a faster pace because I'm trying to do what's called a a negative split, which is when you run faster the second half of whatever distance you're running, then you run that the second half faster than you did the previous half. So, for example, if you're running a 5K, which is 3.1 miles, you would say run the first mile and a half at 9 minutes, and then say the second mile and a half at eight and a half minutes. So you can actually get a better time. That's my goal. So I usually don't use music at all in the beginning. LA Marathon, there's a lot of bands and energy at the end. So I'll actually pause it or turn it off as well, just depending on the race. But then I've done, like I said, races where it's just in the middle of the desert, like Area 51. You're running out there. There's no one out there except aliens. And when you do see them, by the time you can actually get to like Vegas where there's a reception, it's like 2 hours and a half. And the aliens are gone in their UFOs, and you no one's gonna believe you. So I hope you enjoyed the workout music Redux. I will be back later with if you for my Spanish speaking people. If you like Spanish, I will be doing my show in Spanish with my guest Ricky Rack. He is a former lawyer who is now an instructor in Honduras. If you want to learn more about that, I also had him on this show, which is one of my first maybe guest. He's in the top 10, so you can go back and check it out if you don't speak Spanish, but you want to know about it. It's called Valentine Brothers Jiu Jitsu instructor Ricky Rack. But he will be here later at 4 p.m. Pacific time zone, and we're going to be talking about Jiu Jitsu and in Honduras and how great workout it is. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you next time. This is Coach Ray, Athletic Definition. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here today, and I'll see you later on.